Hey everybody, how you doing? You haven't seen me in a while. I haven't seen you in a while. What's up with that? Well, let's talk about that a little bit. I've been working a lot with private clients because that is financially the most rewarding thing that I can do. And I got to eat, I got to live. So I've been doing that. But I've also been working a lot with reparational clients and with reparational trees that belong to or are for people who were lynched and people with whom I am not in contact, people who lived and died in the 19th and 20th centuries. So that's been where my energy has been for months now. COVID has definitely made it a little hard, to sort of focus, but now we are doing, as a nation and as a world, what it is that I'm all about, what it is that I find important and fascinating and crucial to good genealogical work, to good historical research and things like that. I have started a really long thread, really long thread on Twitter. My Twitter is @AncestorsAlive, and I encourage you to go there and to look for the tweets that feature a split screen. It's a one picture, but it's a split screen that shows the name of the husband and the name of the wife in a family who is a direct line ancestor family to me and who enslaved people. And in those posts, I talk about how many people they enslaved, versus the number of family members that they had. I talk about the names of people when there was a will present, so that names were there, the ages of the white children who were recipients of enslaved people as goods in a will, including a feather bed, that kind of stuff. It's really alarming stuff to read. I've known for a long time that my family was descended on both sides from enslaving families. I learned that for the first time in 2011. That was the first time that I came across documentary evidence that I was descended of an enslaver. But that's nothing in comparison with sitting down and looking at these couples, one after the next, after the next, after the next, and seeing that for some of them, it seems like having enslaved persons do labor was what they did until they had enough kids to do the labor on their farm. But for others, enslaved persons were goods that were willed in perpetuity, for all time immemorial. And sometimes it's said a slave girl charity and all of her issue forever. It's a really, really sobering thing to read. And it's not like I didn't know that it was there logically. But when I'm examining each one of these things, what I'm finding is that it makes me ask more and more questions. It makes me ask, why? What were they thinking? How did they benefit? What was their area like? How were they able to write at the beginning of a will things like, I hope that my life has pleased Almighty God, and then in the next sentence, will an enslaved woman and all of her issue forever to a 4-year-old child? Like, how were they able to do that? It just blows my mind. If each of us, as genealogists, as family historians, are going to be accurate about what it is that our family members did, then if we have any enslaving ancestors, we have to examine all of that information and we have to put it out there in social media. Now, initially this year, I was talking about a project I called #blog2020. And my idea was, and it was a very big and bold idea for me, considering I'm not much of a blog post writer, I was going to write a blog post a month. And that blog post was going to cover one couple. It is now June. I have written one of those posts, and that's it. So obviously, blogging is not the way for me to do that. Now, some people blog as easily as they eat their cereal in the morning, and that is great. But there are a lot of other ways to get the information out there. What I've been doing is creating these split screen images using a photo editor called Pixlr. First, I take the screenshot of the ancestry profile of the person, and then I just put the two together of mom and dad in one, I don't know what they call it, but it looks like a split screen to me, image in Pixlr, and then I save it, and then I put it out there on Instagram, I put it out there on Twitter, and from Instagram, it shares to my Facebook page for the business for Ancestors Alive Genealogy. All of that information is out there. The most complete discussion, however, is on Twitter, because other people sometimes chime in and we get to have a little chat about this, that, and the other. It's really, really important that we do this. Now, what about my ancestors didn't enslave people? Okay, that's a really popular claim, and I understand that. There are people whose families weren't here during the period of enslavement. But if you think, as a white genealogist and as a white person in the United States, I'm not going to get into other countries, just the United States, if you think that that lets you off somehow from being liable to examining the motivations and the benefits that your family received from being white in America, you're wrong. I've been kind of polite about this so far. I haven't really picked on people a lot. I haven't really challenged folks a lot, and I've tried to keep it peaceful. I'm really sick and tired of being peaceful. I've been talking about this for 3 years, and people are still saying to me, but my family only enslaved one person. How is that better than anything? Even the response, but my family was here, but they were too poor to own enslaved people. Really? Poverty? You think that poverty erases your skin color and the benefits that it gives you? That's not how that one works. So I want you to understand, this is something that's very important to me, and it's been important to me for a while now, and I've been teaching it via the podcast for 3 years, and I'm going to keep teaching it. Even if I take hiatuses from the podcast, I'll be coming back. You may not hear from me for a couple months, but you will hear from me again. And that is because this work is important to me. And sometimes I have to take those periods off to just do the research and to just help clients, because helping the clients is more important than anything else. Now, if you want to support what it is that I'm doing, I welcome you. Go to patreon.com/ancestorsalive for as little as $1 a month. You can support what it is that I'm doing. Right now, I'm getting about $150 a month from Patreon. That pays for 3 hours worth of research per month on any reparational tree, whether it's a tree for someone who is lynched, a tree who's for someone who's alive right now and needs assistance right now. It doesn't matter. Anybody who is African American, who is descended of enslaved persons, descended of free people of color, those are people I'm helping. And that's where that money goes, is to help offset my time and my costs. Because I've got, newspapers.com to pay for, and I've got Been Verified to pay for, and I've got all the various different platforms that I use that are paying platforms. I've got those things to pay for. That's what that pays for. Now, I haven't been that transparent with everybody because honestly, I don't like those kinds of details. I mean, the same way that I don't really like to blog, I'm kind of lazy, and I admit it, about letting folks know what exactly is it that I'm doing with all of these trees. So I'm fixing that. Right now I'm working on a document that's going to be a page on my website, and when it goes up, I will let everybody know. I will be posting on Patreon. I will be posting on all of my social media to let you know that it's there. And what that is going to be is a page that shows division. It's going to be living reparational clients. It's going to be reparational clients as a result of lynchings. It's going to be a section. There's going to be a section on reparational clients, Black folks who are famous in the Black community that white people know absolutely nothing about. And I'm going to tell you exactly where I am in each of those trees, what I've gotten done, what information I'm waiting for, and what I haven't done yet or what I'm in the process of doing. That way you can see very clearly what it is that you're paying for when you support the work that I do. And right now it really is only me who's doing the work. That's unfortunate. Most folks tell me they want to be involved in reparational genealogical research, but then when I say, hey, help me out with a tree, they maybe are able to help for a couple of hours, but really they want to be working on their own trees. Okay, I can't fault you for that. Nobody else has to have the kind of drive that I have or the specific focus that I have. We're all different people and we need to do the things that we need to do. But I want to encourage you, if you have ever been interested in working for reparations in genealogy, now's the time to start. Before was the time to start too, but I'm not going to get on you about that. Now is the time to start. And when you look at your own family, I urge you, look at your family not in terms of my family didn't do this, my family didn't do that, they weren't here, they didn't benefit, blah, blah, blah. Rather, look at your family member and say, what was going on in that place and time, and how did my ancestor benefit from white privilege? How has my ancestry benefited from enslavement? How has my ancestry benefited from anti-black skin prejudice? What are the jobs or the housing situations that my family received because of the not virtue, but simple fact of a white skin, you know? That's what I want you to think about, because the ultimate truth is this. After slavery was abolished, African Americans could not disappear into the populace. It's that simple. When my indentured servant ancestors came over, they were on a 3-year indenture and then they were freed from that, and then they could become freedmen and they could join the church and they could vote and they could hold property. The reason was they didn't have anything branded on them that said, I used to be an indentured servant. I was less than a person. The law considered me nothing. None of that. None of that has ever been branded on a single one of my ancestors, and therefore not on me. But if you have black skin, that is a permanent brand that you are descended of enslaved persons, free persons of color. I know that I'm not talking about people who just came over from the African continent within a generation. But what I am saying is that that prejudice against people who are descended of free people of color and enslaved people spills over onto anybody who has dark skin. And that's because they have dark skin. That's what I mean by white skin privilege. Reparational work is working to address the inequities of what families like mine, all of them, going back to 7th, 8th great-grandparents, maybe even further. I haven't even gotten all the way through my dad's side yet. Those people all built this set of colonies, which became a country, on enslavement. And they perpetuated a lot of hate and a lot of lies. And they created and split up a lot of families because they could, because they were in power and because it suited them to do so. So reparational work is about helping the people whose families were split up to try to find those distant cousins and make an understanding real about who their ancestors were and what they accomplished, what they achieved, where they were, when they were, how it all fits together. I'm urging you to do that. I'm going to include the link to the beginning of my tweet. It's not a tweet storm, but it feels like it. This days-long Twitter discussion of all of my enslaving ancestors. And I urge you to find a way to do something like it. Do it on Instagram, share it to Facebook. Do it on Facebook. Do it on Twitter. Do it on a Facebook fan page if that's what you have for your business, for your genealogy business. It's time to quit pussyfooting around terminology. It's time to quit pretending that possessing a white skin doesn't mean more in this country than possessing a black skin. And I'm not going to be polite about it anymore. Join me in that, okay? Thanks.